Yeah, we're so glad you're here. Oh, we're so glad to be together in unity. The property. I know you talked about it a little bit. Anybody who helped work on the property, please stand up right now. I want you to see this.
There should be lots of people.
I want you to see
up.
this. This is amazing. We are so grateful for you all. Thank you so much. And for the delicious lunches that were provided by Alice and Jay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For a job well done. It's truly amazing. And what's that? Did you? Yes. It was barbecue yesterday. I mean, this was not like cheap food. This was good food. Good for the soul and the body, right?
Can we not just barbecue?
Yeah.
Brisket, pork, and chicken.
Yeah. At Alice's restaurant.
And German chocolate cake.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
all right, let's quit talking about food. People are going to be ready to go.
Because this is the third week of this is part 3 of the season of Lent. And, season of Lent, we're talking about things we can give up.
Well, let me tell you, there was a guy who was approaching the end of his life. You know how that happens, right? And he'd lived a good long life. He married to the same woman for many years, and they'd had their challenges, but there he was, bedfast, and they were already preparing for the funeral. And so he was laying there in the bed, and suddenly he smells chocolate chip cookies. Here we go. Food again. And the smells are so heavenly. So he pulls himself out of the bed and he's on all fours. He said, I've got to get in the kitchen and get me a cookie because that's my favorite, chocolate chips. So he's crawling through the hallway and he finally gets into the kitchen and he pulls himself up to the bar and he starts to reach for a cookie and his wife smacks his hand and says, we're saving that for the funeral. Anyway, so our discussion today, we're going to be talking about how to resolve challenging issues. Challenging issues. Have you ever had one of those? You know what they are?
Yep.
Well, in Unity, we believe in miracles. We believe that miracles are real and that they happen, okay? And so in the Course in Miracles, which is a good place to get a definition, the definition there is a miracle is defined as a correction of perception, a shift from seeing the world as a place of separation and fear to seeing it as a reflection of love and unity. Say with me, that's a miracle. Right? Yeah. That's the miracle.
And then Webster's definition is a surprising and welcome event that is not explicable by natural or scientific laws and is therefore considered to be the work of a divine agency. This is a projection of a God out there being nice to you because he, she, it is having a good day.
Yeah, the Webster's doesn't say all that. That last part was added by me. James Webster King. But a definition that actually includes both interpretation is that a miracle is divine grace. It's an inner knowing that is reflected outwardly. Although it appears to supersede natural or scientific law, it is actually a deeper understanding of the law, especially of love, kindness, and compassion. Yeah. You like that? So, most of life is not this or that, but it is this and that. right? Have you learned that yet? People are always asking this or that questions. Is it this or is it that? Well, many times it's this and that, right? So I love Einstein's definition. He said that either nothing is a miracle or everything is a miracle. How do you see it? Forgiveness is a miracle. Healing is a miracle. Choosing love over hate, it's a miracle. Even breathing is a miracle. Do you know how you do that every day? You've gotten pretty good at it, haven't you? It's a good thing. And you didn't have to learn to breathe. You already were a breathing machine, right? You were born that way. You know, electricity is a miracle. You know, you can talk about it. I don't know how, Mr. Who was it?
Edison?
No, Benjamin Franklin flying the kite, and was struck by lightning and, what is this? But it was an invisible power that they learned how to channel into the into this physical world and use it as a source energy, right? So when I walk through the house, I flip on the light, boop, it comes on. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. Where does it come from? I don't know exactly how it works. You could explain the scientific principle of it, but that still doesn't tell you what it is. You know what it is? Let's say it together. It's a miracle. It's all a miracle, right? Jesus said it this way.
Jesus said, all things are possible. All things are possible.
I wonder if all means all in this case.
Probably.
You sound very confident about that.
All things are possible.
Yeah. The best definition I ever heard for all is that all means all. Right? All things are possible.
All things are possible.
Now I know, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We've all had the privilege of seeing all kinds of miracles in our lives in the times that we've lived. You ever have money just show up just in time? Right? A healing happens. Blinded eyes are open, whether through medical technology or seemingly out of nowhere. Spiritual eye opening is a miracle. It's the perceptual healing, that we get that can help us to discover even more miracles and go deeper into the miracle-working power of divinity. I mean, no, we need to go deeper, right? What's the message of the hour today? Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper, right? So here's a key thought. Ephesians 4:31 through 32 says, "Put away from you all bitterness and wrath, anger and wrangling and slander, together with all malice, and be kind to one another, including," and I added this part, "yourself." Right? So we need to release the bitterness and the anger and the all of that stuff, because what are those? Those are the blocks. Those are holding back the flood tide of the miracle working power that is contained within every living being. Does that make sense? Wow.
So has anybody else had experiences where you have something that just feels so stubborn, so unchangeable, so fixed? It's like you just feel helpless, or you feel defeated, like this is just something I cannot get a handle of. I think of people who struggle with things like addiction, or anything. It can be even little things. You just feel like, I've experienced this with sugar. I want to get out of the habit, get out of the eating sugar, and it's so hard. Do we put up with it? Do we just put up with it? How can we resolve that issue when it feels so stubborn, so permanent? Is it even possible? Jesus said all things are possible. But is it possible? Have you asked yourself that? I don't even know if this is possible for me to do this. At the very least, can we make our issues more manageable? When they feel impossible to overcome, can we at least make them more manageable? And I would say yes, we absolutely can.
You know, we all carry situations, people, and experiences that have negatively impacted our lives. Anybody here with me? Things that we've done or not done, have said or left unspoken. Events that we continue to live may be painful and would reinforce and seemingly legitimize our bitterness and resentment. Yeah. How many know you can build a list of things if you want to and say, okay, because of this, I'm bitter. Because of this, I have resentment. Because of this, I can't forgive. Because of this, I'm angry. Because of this, I'm fearful. You can build a big plate, a big platter, and you can carry it around with you and present it to people when you meet them, right? Or you can, over on the other hand, you can build a platter of, yes, I was hurt, and I'm learning how to heal. I'm accepting the miracle. I'm accepting of the miracle. Right?
We may not even realize that we're carrying bitterness and resentment. We may not even recognize it as that.
That's right.
We may recognize it as due feelings. You know, I deserve to feel that way about that. It's
Sure.
not that I'm bitter or resentful, but, you know, by gosh, I deserve to feel hurt and this and that and the other. So we may not even recognize it as something like bitterness.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But those things affect our interactions with other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're the invisible blockages that we are unaware of about ourselves. See, human beings, unfortunately, are taught not to be aware, not to be self-aware.
Yeah.
We're taught to be aware of everybody else's opinion, of everybody else's talents and abilities and gifts, but not our own. How many know that that's backwards? Right?
Yeah.
So
there are a lot of ways you can deal. You know, you can deal with your issues. You can heal your issues. You can resolve them. But I have learned, and maybe you have learned, that resolving does not always mean it's done. Right? I think I took care of that. And then all of a sudden, here it is knocking on my door again. And I realize, oh, maybe there's layers to this thing, right? We talk the proverbial peeling of the onion. There are layers to things. I take care of one layer, I'm good. I took care of that. And then a little ways down the road, okay, here we go. Another layer to unpeel. That's what makes those large hurts manageable, because we can take it as it appears, as we're ready to deal with it. Sometimes I have been in situations where I was not ready to deal with the whole thing. I had to take it little pieces at a time to get comfortable with the idea of even letting it go, having it be resolved, especially when it comes to forgiveness work. Way back in the day, you know, it's like, I don't know.
yeah.
I feel justified in hanging on to that thing. So, you know, there's always the prayer of, make me willing to let it go, even right. So, but when we can do this, when we get to the place where we start unpeeling these things, then it makes them more manageable. And what happens is we begin to lose our mental and our emotional attachment to it. Because we're very attached oftentimes to these hurts, these pains, and we have to get untangled from them. So by taking care of it in layers, it allows me to do that, little by little. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's been my experience. I don't know about anybody else, but that's been my experience. Little by little.
Let's do an affirmation. You ready? I release bitterness, and embrace the love and support of all around me. Right? Yeah. How many know it's a choice? It is a choice.
It is.
The Dalai Lama said, happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought it was everybody else that was supposed to make me happy. Aren't you supposed to make me happy?
That is a delusion that you can live with if you want. Believe me, I've tried that one. It doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it does not work. It has to come from your own actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Sarion said that the greatest happiness you can have is knowing that you do not necessarily require happiness. But wait a minute, James, I require happiness. Then your attachment to happiness could be a block to your happiness. Say it with me. Really?
Ooh.
Yes. Yes. When you require people to be a certain way, okay, Leah, it's Thursday, it's time for my back rub. And she says, no, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling it. I know, I'm not feeling it either. Right? But if I require her to be a certain way, then you know what I'm doing? I'm setting myself up for
Disappointment. Yeah.
That's right. She missed the appointment. Now I'm disappointed. Make sense?
Yeah. We all, we have these attachments to things being done a certain way. I don't have that attachment.
No.
Right?
Me
I don't have any
either.
attachments to things being a certain way.
It's like, when people first come to Unity, they said, people are always saying, how many, do you do communion every Sunday? At our other church, we did communion every week. I said, not every Sunday, no. We do it. Well, how about this and how about that? And I said, well, sometimes. But we look at it more from a metaphysical, metaphorical perspective. We weave it all in, but it may be a little different than the way that you're used to it. Does that make sense? How many are here to learn something new? Or do you just want to hear the same old, right? Do you already have it all figured out? Right? Well, some of us do.
No, not at all. I was just thinking some of the hardest people that I've had to work with in my lifetime are people who have to have things done a certain way. There's a very legalistic, it's my way or the highway. This is the proper way to do it. You have to do it A, B, C. We don't do B, C, A. It's, very legalistic. It makes for a very rigid, uncomfortable experience. So one of the things that I think is the most beneficial lesson that I have learned, and it's kind of our catchphrase around here, is flexibility. Right? To be able to be flexible, to go with what shows up, to be able to change something if you need to change it. Don't keep doing something the same way if it's not working just because it's supposed to be done that way, right? You follow things to their end in a natural, organic way, and then you can follow the next thing, right? Don't get stuck in a rut of just doing the same thing over and over the same way because it has to be that way. We got to detach from that insistence, that rigidity, that legalistic way of being.
Because that's when the miracle happens.
Yes.
That's when the miracle shows up.
How's something going to happen if you say it's got to look like this?
Yeah. because it may not need to look like that. It might, right? You may be right, but I have found in my life that a lot of times I'm not right in the way that I think things are supposed to happen.
No,
right?
you're not right.
They happen, yeah. She'll tell you.
I love you.
So you have to follow your excitement and your joy to its conclusion, and then go with the next thing. Follow the next flow, because life is a continuous flow. And so when a cycle, goes through, and there are many cycles within cycles. How many are living in a cycle now? How many ride motorcycles? Anybody? That has nothing to do with that. But anyway, cycles are things, that we go through as human beings. Yeah. The world is going through a particular kind of cycle right now. Our nation is going through a cycle right now. People are going through cycles. And you have all these cycles happening. And so it's learning to go with your cycle in the midst of all of this change. You understand?
Yeah. And really the best way to do that is to just be in the moment, to be in the now moment. Eric Butterworth, one of our favorite Unity writers around here, said one of the best things to do sometimes is simply to be. Right? We just need to be in the moment and respond to what the moment calls for. Instead of being so rigid about everything, just be in the now moment.
To be or not to be? That is the question that we're asking this morning. So
yeah. Jesus was asked one time in the scriptures why a particular person wasn't healed. And he explained that it was because of a possession.
Ooh, you better explain that one.
Well, they were so aligned with their beliefs in adverse circumstances, and they were actually possessed by it. Have you ever been possessed by a thought or by a need to do something, or by a train of thought that you just couldn't get off of? Right? You just keep thinking about something over and over and over and over and over, and you don't want to, but there it is again. And I put it aside and I say, I'm not going to think about that anymore. And I start washing dishes and yada, yada, yada. There it is again. I'm possessed by the thought. Possessed by a thought. And I don't know about you, but most of the time when I've had those kinds of possessions, they have not necessarily been the most beneficial or good thoughts.
Yeah.
They're usually something that's an adverse circumstance. Why is that? We get stuck on these train thoughts or thought trains of negativity.
I think that one singer wrote a song called it Crazy Train.
Yeah.
That kind of explains it right there.
Yeah. We get possessed by these thoughts.
Yeah. So they asked Jesus this question. What did he say?
He said that this kind could only be healed through prayer and fasting.
Fasting
Prayer
what?
And fasting.
Everybody thinks, we need to fast food. Well, maybe. But there are other things you can fast. Right?
So we've been talking about, for this season of Lent, fasting certain thought forms, certain ideologies, certain ways of thinking, right? In other words, a firmly held belief that is not serving you well, the firmly held belief that was not serving these individuals that Jesus was trying to heal, was keeping them from being released. Your firmly held beliefs that are not serving you need to be released.
So that's what you're fasting.
That's what you're fasting.
Yeah.
So when you find yourself possessed with that thought form, you immediately know that's one you need to let go, you need to fast from. Easier said than done, isn't it?
Well, I don't mean to brag, but I just got off of a 12-hour fast, and I broke my fast this morning.
It's not quite
Okay.
the same, is it?
No, it's not. That's why they call it break fast.
Yes.
Breakfast, right?
So the idea is when you're fasting, these thought patterns, these ideologies, these thought possessions,
You're letting it go.
is that you're letting it go, and it often takes time, right? And there is a process that happens. It can be a process. Now, some things, you might miraculously, immediately be able to let go of, but a lot of times there's a process involved in it, and you have to do it little by little until you're able to let that thing go. So just recognize that it's a process. It takes time.
Yeah. And remember what Neville Goddard said last week. How many were here last week? You heard the quote? Well, we're going to tell it to you again because it's really powerful. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled until your assumption has all the sensory vividness of reality. You must imagine that you are already experiencing what you desire. That is, you must assume the feeling of the fulfillment of your desire until you are possessed by it. And this feeling crowds all other ideas out of your consciousness. So we see through that there is positive possession and there is negative possession. Say it with me. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Right? So if you have an issue that is so challenging and tricky and it feels overwhelming, it could be a possession. You could be possessed. I went to that Unity Church and they told me I was possessed. Ask me how I know. How many know that it's never your job to tell somebody that they are wrong and that they should just get over it? We need to stop that. We need to stop it, right? That is not what a healer does. We don't make people wrong, right? Besides, there's still a lot that we don't know. You have your curriculum, and I have mine. I'm more familiar with my curriculum. I could tell you about my curriculum, but I don't understand your curriculum because, you're kind of weird. Right? Don't you feel that way sometimes? You look at people and their stuff and you go, oh, that's different. I remember when I was younger, I thought everybody felt the way I felt. I thought everybody looked at things the way that I look at things. But you know what? That ain't the case. Right?
That's right.
So it's never appropriate to condemn, blame, accuse, or judge another for their beliefs. Because beliefs are sacred to people. And when you start telling them their beliefs are wrong, and you accuse and you begin to judge, then you are putting them in prison in your own mind. So we need to allow people the space and the grace to be where they are without judging them for it. Or you may be adding fuel to the fire. Can you say amen to that? Your judgment, here's why that you don't want to interfere with another person's process. Your judgment can activate that same karma in your own life. Say with me, oh me, oh my, that's not my job. Right? So, unless someone asks you for assistance, and even then, share from a spirit of compassion and express that this is just your observation, but they always have the power. We empower each other, don't we? Right? I will never take away another person's choice, ever, because they have the power in their life. We can be there to encourage and to love and support, but we're not I used to be Mr. Fix-It. Believe me, I had an ambulance service, when I first became a minister, because that's what you're told to do. And I was this great martyr, sacrificing my life for everybody else. And I'd put on my little light, and I'd go around to people's homes and people's lives and go, woo, like the ambulance, picking up the half-dead bodies. All right, let me bring you back to life, and I would give them life and give them life and give them all my energy. And they would feel pretty good until I stopped doing it. Because I was disempowering them, because I was taking away their power. And what I learned to do is say, okay, let's talk about it. What's going on the inside of you? That's what we need to get out into the open, right? What's happening on the inside? And if you can get it out and you can talk about it and you can begin to see it and you begin to get the revelation and the understanding of what's really happening, then you can begin to trace down that root to the core of the situation. And then you can forgive and release and let go of it. Make sense? But always, always, you want to give the power back to the other person. If somebody tries to hand me their power, they say, James, just tell me exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I say, not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Right? Because if I do, I'm robbing you of your power, and I'm taking on your karma, and I don't need your karma. Right? I got enough of my own that I'm working on releasing here.
Yeah. I was just sitting here thinking about how deeply unfair it is to judge people when you don't know anything about what they've been through, their history, their perceptions, their experiences, all that forms a person. All that I have been through in my life that's made me who I am. To sit in judgment of someone and not know that, how deeply unfair. And the only real reason we judge people anyway is because we can go, well, at least I'm not that. To make ourselves feel better. But how deeply unfair to judge when we really don't know the whole story of things.
Yeah, because you don't know what it's like to walk in their moccasins, and their sandals, and their Crocs, and their whatever, shoes, right? You just don't know.
Yeah.
And so don't pretend to know. Now, Spirit can give you little fractionary words, thoughts, and phrases that you can share with people that can be very helpful. Understand? That can assist them and lift them up. And that happens. We all are channeling this higher power, right? Let's say it together. I'm a channel.
I'm a channel.
Of the higher power.
Of the higher power.
Yeah, we all are. We're all channels. Yeah. So we're channeling this wisdom. We're channeling this knowledge. And it's not just this rote thing that we learn from a book. It is actual spiritual, practical stuff that we've learned over time, right?
Yeah.
And that when we share, we're not talking about, just something from our heads. We're talking about something from the heart. We're moving from the head brain to the heart brain. Ooh, I want to show you something on a slide. And this is the difference. It's going to blow you away. You ready to be blown away? You might want to get your comb out. You may have to comb your hair after this. She's working on it. That's all right.
We mentioned this last week.
Yeah. Look, these are two different emotional states that have been measured, scientifically measured. The first one is frustration. Can you see the little squiggly lines?
Spikes, like jagged.
Yeah. It's incoherent. It is confusion, right? But then look at appreciation. Ooh, wow. You see the difference. That's what's happening inside your brain when you go through different states of consciousness. And you do it every single day. So when you're confused and frustrated, that's what you look like. When you're in appreciation and gratitude, which is just another way of talking about love, you're more holistic. How many know that we need to start thinking in holistic terms about ourselves and each other?
Yes.
Seeing the whole of a person, not just one little piece. Because we're deceived when we do that. We look at somebody and we judge them, we measure them up, and we think we know who they are. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't know the whole of the person. Now, you're connected to them, but you still don't really know them. So you deceive yourself when you think, oh, I know everything. I know everything about Leah. I'm still discovering things about her that annoy me. I mean, that lift me up and bless me. No. Just kidding.
You know, it's like doctors have all become specialized, right? And if you go to the heart doctor and you say, well, do you think this could be connected to what's going on in my stomach? I don't know anything about that. I just deal with the heart. And then you go to the gut doctor and, well, do you think that could be connected? I don't know anything about that. I just deal with the gut. Everybody's specialized instead of looking at how does that
it work together?
How does that work together? So when you look at an individual and your mind wants to go down that avenue of judgment, take in the whole. Okay, they are a spiritual being, they're a mental being, they're an emotional being, and they're a physical being, right? So maybe there's physical pain going on that makes them act the way they're acting. Maybe there's an emotional
component.
Upset. Yeah, there's sadness or something. So there's just, we have to look at things holistically. We would be better off if we could deal with life's challenges in a more holistic way and consider all of the pieces instead of just being specialized and looking at one thing.
Well, when you put together a puzzle, you need all the pieces. Isn't it frustrating? You get your puzzle out and you put it together and you're missing some pieces, and it feels what? Unfinished.
Yeah.
It's not complete. It's not complete.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with our lives. We want to learn how to put all the pieces together so we can get the big picture and we can see the beautiful heavenly views of the sky and the sunlight shining, and we can see the pond and the ducks on the pond, beautiful ducks, and just, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We get the whole picture and we see how it all supports each other. It all comes together. It all works together instead of seeing everything in halves and holes. I remember as a young man, this is terrible. This is terrible what young men learn. You learn to see women in parts and pieces. Isn't it true? And so you got all these young guys that are, out with women, girls, and so they want to marry one for the parts and the pieces. And then you marry them, and then you realize there's a whole person here. There's an attitude here. There's a belief system here. There's a way of thinking here. There are needs and desires and wants that I didn't know anything about. I was just thinking about my needs and desires and wants, right? Isn't that a revelation? That's where we need to see people as whole beings, right? Oh, what a revelation if we could get that. Now, of course, women, they're a little more evolved than men most of the time. Not always, most of the time. And I'm not going to go there because I'll get in trouble.
You will get in trouble. So when we look at actions, behaviors, people through a particular lens, that's when it's really easy to get into metaphysical malpractice.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because then we look at, Louise Hay did a wonderful work on healing, heal yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's like the idea that if you have pain in your back, you may be carrying, right, unforgiveness, or you might want to look at the wonderful book for you, not for you to use on everybody else, right? It's a wonderful book for me. I can look at it and get some reference like, oh, maybe I should consider, is that something for me? But we take out our little books, our little things, and we go, oh, well, if they're having that going on, then they must be X, Y, Z. And
Because I'm a doctor. I'm doing diagnosis.
We fall into metaphysical malpractice where we put things upon people that we have no business doing because, again, we haven't considered the whole being. We don't know anything about them. So it's important to see the whole.
Yeah. You have all of these chemicals in your body, these hormones that cause you to feel certain ways, cause you to have certain experiences. And we have to deal with it on the physical level. How many know we got to eat right? Are you eating right? Are you eating good food? That's the first. How many know that's basic? And it's very important. That's the foundation of your life. Eat good food. Get the vitamins and the minerals. There are, 12 vitamins? Something like that. And there are like 60 minerals. Don't quote me on that, but it's something like that.
Minerals, salts,
you need all of that. You need all of it. And so it's important that you are eating a diet that works for you, and not every diet works for every body. Say amen, somebody, right? And so we need that. We need water, pure water, good clean water, right? That's not polluted, that's not got a bunch of additives, that clears the body, that the body says, ooh, that was refreshing. Have you ever taken you get up in the morning, you feel a little sluggish, and you take a big glass of water and you feel, oh, that's what I needed, Coffee is okay, right? And
yes.
I know, Leah, I know y'all need your coffee, right? It's important, and that's good, But you need water. You need water. You need to flush your system constantly. And so we need food, we need water, we need clean air to breathe. Yeah, we need to go outside every day and breathe the air. Take some deep breaths every day, right? And these are the basic things for the body. The body needs this. We need to release our stress, so do something fun every single day, whether you want to or not. Right? Because you need it. You know why you need it? So that you can be around me. And I can be around you in a very pleasant kind of way. Right?
Yeah.
So all of these things are important.
Yeah.
They really are. See, remember, nothing is a sin in and of itself. And what is the sin? It is error thinking. Error thought, right? It's missing the target. So unless you make it a sin, unless you make it wrong, and we do a lot of that, don't we? We do a lot of making things wrong. How many know that we need to stop making everything wrong and start making things right? Oh, that's a mind switch.
Yeah.
Did you get that? Flipping the script, instead of talking about everything that's wrong, let's talk about what's working. It's like, if you want to, this community here, if we just talked about everything that we're doing wrong, you know what would happen? We'd all leave. So I ain't putting up with that. Right? We want to bring out people's talents and abilities and gifts so that everybody can share their gifts and their talents and their abilities, and we're all doing it together. And when we want to clean up the property, well, we did it. right? When we want to move forward or do something special, we can do it because we put all of our energy together and we all use our gifts. And there's room for everybody. Let's say it. There's room for everybody. Right? And so we make space and we allow space for everybody to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And then you get the whole picture. You see the big picture after all. And then you look around and say, well, Spirit knows what Spirit is doing. Spirit brought this one in here, brought this one in over here, and they're doing that, and they're doing this. And it's wonderful, and it all fits, and it all works, and it all flows, and it feels so good.
Look at you standing up.
I know.
You said sin is error thinking
Yes.
or error thought. I saw an interesting acronym the other day that was sitting in negativity.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Sitting in negativity. Oh, yeah, that's very good.
Isn't that good?
Yeah, when you
Yeah.
put that on a cup, sell it. Do we have any marketers here?
Don't sin today. Don't sit in negativity.
That's right. I love
Yeah,
that. I love that. You know, your brain is an apothecary, blending and mixing chemicals together. Oh, how many are getting high on your own supply? Yes. You have happy hormones. Did you know that? There's serotonin. Have you ever heard of it? It's this wonderful new drug that's really not new.
Can't take him anywhere, Hubert.
And you know what serotonin does? It helps to balance your mood. And it promotes feelings of well-being. Oh, if they could just put it in a container. Yes.
Yes, they do.
And it's called YOU. You are the container. You contain serotonin. Learning how to release it. That's what we're going to talk about for just a moment, real quick, before we move on here. She's moved on.
I've moved on.
Welcome to my life. Endorphins are natural painkillers. Natural painkiller? Yeah. When you're doing your joy, you're killing pain. Wow. Say it with me, I'm a killer of pain.
Saying that.
Dopamine. It's the feel-good chemical. It creates happiness, pleasurability. And it's inside of you right now. Right now. Oxytocin. Oh, this is a good one. It helps promote social interaction and may help you feel positive emotion. It is the trust hormone because when you feel that oxytocin, you're more trusting and allowing for the universe to provide the miracles and the things that you need in your life. Oxytocin is a relationship healer, right? It heals relationships because you learn how to go into another person, into their being, and they learn how to go into your being, and you are there together, and you walk together inside of each other. Not just out of here, but in here. You're joined together forever. Isn't that beautiful? And how do these chemicals get activated? Oh, it must be really difficult. Must be really hard. How many think it's hard? You think it's tough? They get activated when you practice loving kindness. When you're the most excellent activator of these feel-good hormones is to be with yourself and others without judgment. Say it with me, that was really good.
That was really
Thank
good.
you, James, for that.
James.
That was really good. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yes, there you go. So real quick, here's some 3-word phrases that can help facilitate others' healing processes. You ready? Tell me more. Tell me more. I accept you. I hear you. I believe you. I trust you. And the biggie, I love you. In other words, when you are able to phrase these things with people, you're saying, listen, you're worth my time. You're worth my positive focus and attention and my concern. You are worth it. Right? You're worth it. That's what you're doing. And when people feel worthy, they can express who they are better. They have permission in your presence to be themselves. Isn't that what everybody wants? Of course it is. This validates their healing journey and signifies, I care about you. And it helps them and assists them to make peace with the challenges. And instead of running from the pain, they go into the pain. Right? Because they have a safe space to do it. They feel the hurt, and they let it be for now. And then they truly begin to see the grace, the miracles that begin to appear in their life. And you and I are the healers that have been sent at this time in the world to provide this safe space. Right. Take a moment to feel your heart brain. Do you feel more coherent this morning? More together? At peace? In alignment with yourself and with others? Let your body relax and your mind be still for just a moment. And know that you are the very presence of Holy Spirit. Breathe it in. Accept the grace that is for you this morning. Who knows what good things are coming into your life right now? What opportunities, what new doors will be opened for you as we pay attention to what Spirit is doing within and around us. Those beautiful surprises. Sometimes they come in packages that we're not too sure about, and maybe we don't even understand. But maybe, just maybe, there's something good that's going to come from it. Will you take that on as a belief that whatever happens in your life, something good will come from this? There will be a positive benefit from whatever happens. Isn't that a great way to live? So assume that belief if you dare. Assume it. Take it on. Try it on. See how it feels. Because you're a living, walking apothecary. Love, light, wisdom, and understanding. It's all there. And it's being mixed up and stirred this morning. Just the way that you need it. If you allow it. Just by being in the stillness and in the quiet. Allowing the good to unfold. Allowing the joy to come forth. Allowing yourself to be guided from within. Knowing that you're always where you need to be. Wherever that is in every moment. Just breathe into that. Breathe now. If you know of someone that you would like to pray for, hold in this healing time, I invite you to whisper their name aloud. You might even want to get a picture of them or feel their energy. Bring them into the room with you. We know that there's something called quantum entanglement. Where in the moment, they are here with you right now. In a different way, it's a spiritual way, but they're here. So tell them, say, I accept you. I trust you. I love you. I bless you. I hold your highest good. You're going to be just fine. You're going to get through whatever you're going through. You're going to make it. I affirm that for you. I see your higher good. I claim your good. I believe in you. I believe in you. God is with you now. And all is well. All is well. And perhaps maybe sitting here this morning you've had a little discomfort. I invite you just to let that go for just a moment. What would it feel like if you didn't have the discomfort? Instead of looking for the discomfort, accept the comfort of the Holy Spirit, the comforting presence, the loving presence. Feel yourself surrounded by it. Embrace that loving presence we call God, Spirit, higher mind, higher self. So many names, one power, one presence. And just breathe. Just breathe. I release bitterness and I accept my wholeness. I release bitterness and I accept my wholeness. I forgive the world. I forgive myself. I forgive others. I release it all now and I accept my wholeness and well-being. And that feels good. I invite you just to slip into the silence for just a moment. Just a moment. So we let go of headaches, heartaches, toothaches, belly aches. We let it all go, all the aches and the pains. And we receive the healing, soothing, loving presence of God. Thank you. Thank you, Father, Mother, Holy Spirit. Amen. And so it is. All right. I invite you to reach and stretch as we slowly turn the lights back on.